Alright, before we start the video, obviously, important hair update. It's been 2 years. We've had to go for the double hairband today because it's getting ridiculously long. See? I've had to tie it up like 4 times at the back. But, okay, into the video. So, I decided to make this video because I haven't made a PoE video around a build in ages. This isn't a build guide, it's just going to be me talking about this Combs build. It's nothing new, nothing interesting, but it's a build I've really enjoyed. I've killed Uber Elder on it like 5 or 6 times now. I had like 1 death in like the 5 or 6 runs. It's been a very fun build in its own way, and I thought I'd just share it because a few people asked what have I got, and also I'm pretty pleased with what I've created this league, honestly. So I do want to kind of show off my gear, if I'm being honest. But you know, it's not perfect, but we're getting there. So I farmed a lot this league. On this character, I've played 5 days, 20 hours. So I've played the league for probably about 7 days. I've played a lot of this league. I've really enjoyed it. So this character, through all its time since level 1, I sat and I flipped items and stuff to get currency. And then I played, and then I killed bosses and all that good stuff of how you make your currency. And once I'd got currency, I decided I wanted to play a build that could kill all content. So everything in the Atlas has been killed, apart from Paranda's Mana, because I sort of refused to spend on Paranda's Mana. I even did Whole of Grandmaster's Deathless. So the build is very simply Righteous Fire. Obviously, you can swap and conk effect for bosses. So Righteous Fire, Juggernaught. So I'm a Juggernaught. And the whole concept behind it is you have a load of health regen. You don't get one shot and then you regen it back up. That's kind of the gist of it. It hasn't got crazy damage. It hasn't got amazing single target. There are some times it does feel a little bit squishy in maybe a torrent of chaos damage, but honestly, like I died like 25 times leveling, and I've died 51 times going from probably like 40 to 95, and I've done like like I say 5 or 6 Uber Elders, Uber at Zeri like 4 times, Shape like 6 times. So honestly, it's a really solid character. The gist behind it is you have a scepter. Now I crafted this scepter, the Stormcrack scepter. You basically get an eye level 80 Void Scepter because it has the increased elemental damage, the top roll. You get some alterations and you alt spam until you get Ellie Focus. Ellie Focus and this elemental damage, this 59% elemental damage, are one roll. So you're trying to go for socketed gems or supported by level 16, 18 or 20. I did 16 and 18, they both bricked. The next set of alts I got elemental focus is level 20, and I augmented tier 1 attack speed, which is very lucky, I understand, but the past 3 or 4 bricked. So what you can do is you can choose to get the roll on its own, and you can choose to regal it, and then if it doesn't hit anything that bricks it, aka some form of damage to spells like fire damage to spells that is going to mess up your elemental equilibrium, you just go ahead and you do multi-mod it, and you put on damage over time from Leo. Socketed gems are supported by level 1 blood magic, which is vegan, and then you can craft attack speed. Obviously I augmented attack speed, so when I regaled it hit fire damage. It's not the best fire damage at all, it's a pretty crappy roll. So my scepter could be better, but realistically, I'm going to struggle to beat this scepter out for damage and utility, because what it allows me to do is cast Scorching Ray forever, because obviously it's using blood magic and we've got huge regen. I'm using burning damage, efficacy, and Scorching Ray. And obviously it's got elemental focus and it's got blood magic, so it's kind of a 5-link. It doesn't do huge damage, but what you're using it for is to apply the resistance debuff. And it does do some damage, it obviously helps, but that's not our main focus for it. The next is going to be a helmet. This helmet I've tried loads. If you go in my stash tab, I've been trying all league. I bought some eye level 86 Royal Burgonets. I tried Chaos spamming, Essence spamming like 10, 20, 30 Essence of Horrors on all different varieties of bases, and nothing hit. The best helmet we got, burning damage, elemental damage, resist, and like no life. So if we look at this, say we put one on that had 60 life, we'd go from 8.9k to 9.1, which obviously life is damage. So ideally this would be level 20 burning damage. It would have life and it would have lightning res, just because that works for my gear. I'm using Righteous Fire, Elemental Focus, Efficacy, increased AoE, and I swap it out for Conk. Now you can get helmets that have concentrated effect on it. I used to have one, but if you put AoE on the Conk, it was really small, and I just didn't like it. I prefer one without concentrated effects. That's just my personal preference. Next, we worked on creating a marble amulet, and this was the marble amulet I said I couldn't use, but I've managed to rejig my resists around, and I sold the other ones I crafted for like 3 exalts each. And I was crafting dex-based amulets with essences. This is giving me fire damage, a bit of cast speed for Scorching Ray, which isn't important at all, but it's nice that it got it. Life, whatever resist you need or whatever other mod you need, and I've put lightning damage to attacks. What this allows me to do is when I shield charge, I only have lightning damage on my shield, so for shield charge they get hit by lightning and then they're weak to fire, and it gives me 1.6 life regen a second. Honestly, you could probably get a much better damage amulet and get rid of the 1.6% life regen a second. It's probably not that needed unless you're in hardcore. It's really nice, but honestly, we're playing softcore. I probably could get rid of a little bit of regen, get a bit more damage, but I'm liking the way the build works. It's super tanky, it's chilled out, it's a Juggernaught. I'll go over the tree in a second, but yeah. Next, we've got a Saffles frame. So when people see people's gear, they'll probably go, oh, you've got a perfect Saffles frame with 6% max life on it. I'm not going to get gear like this. But honestly, if you look here, these are the ones left. I've been buying Saffles frames all league pretty much and trying to val them. I've been buying close to perfect or perfect ones as best as I can afford, and I've just been valing them. Some got block chance that won't sell. Some got Fizz's chaos damage, one of these sold. Some got area damage, reduced area damage. Some got lightning damage. Some got Fizz. Not Fizz, sorry. Some got cold damage that sold. And that's what I've been doing. I've got a Combs Heart that I'm going to val to try get a better implicit. And I've also bricked a couple of Combs Hearts. You can see here, this one turned into a Shaper Combs Heart. So this league, I've been having a lot of fun actually using my currency and playing the game. I had a Headhunter, I had lots of currency, I got rid of it all to really min-max a build because I've not done that before. So this has got max life, which is really nice. It gives me about 200 more life. I've got increased crit Orb of Storms and Blood Magic. Now, you don't need Blood Magic, but I haven't bought a level 4 Enlighten because I just don't think it's needed. Basically, what a level 4 Enlighten would allow you to do is you'd have a tiny bit more mana. You'd probably be able to cast Enduring Cry a little bit more often in a boss fight, because sometimes if you shield charge a lot, you see your mana. Sometimes you shield charge, you hear my mana is gone. If you look at the bar at the bottom, you don't have enough mana sometimes to cast. So, you know, if I was to spend 3 or 4 exalts, I could solve that problem. But I haven't felt it needed, so I haven't done it. I just put Blood Magic on. If you were to get a level 4 Enlighten, say you level 1 yourself and the Val hits, you could get rid of Blood Magic and you could put in like a Stone Golem or even a Fire Golem for 15% extra damage, which probably would be a nice boost. But then you're going to have to constantly cast the Golem, and honestly I just can't be bothered. Next to Colm's Ways, I've been trying to corrupt these. I don't really know what for. Maybe for, what's the word, if I can explain it, I've been trying to cut them for resists, because then if I get LE resists on them, I could get rid of my belt. So these are just the prophecy. What price are these? 52C 1X. Oh, these are corrupted, sorry. If you look at clean, they're like 60C. Just be careful when you're buying them that someone doesn't go and put a Combs sign in, which looks very similar, but it's not. It hasn't got the life regen per second. People try to scam you. Next is the big boy piece, the Combs Heart. This has got 45% increased damage. It's got 4% fizz reduction while stationary. That's not really needed. But the option to purchase it was between getting 48% damage, no, sorry, 46% increased damage with no fizz reduction, or 45 with the reduction. And I thought, hey, you know, I'll go for the one with 2. Fuck it, why not? This cost me like 18 exalts. Obviously you don't need it, but I'm really trying to min-max the build because I've got one build and it's all I'm spending my currency on. So I've been really enjoying it, just trying to push a build to get better. So apparently there's none up, but honestly there probably is. 20 exalts, 50 exalts. Maybe they've gone up a tiny bit in price. I don't know. The gloves, my gloves are probably my worst piece, but I'm stuck with them, which is kind of annoying because I've got 52 exalts and I can't find a pair of gloves to buy. Go figure. Basically what happened was I changed my amulet that had dex on and I bought a pair of gloves with dexterity, and then because I bought a pair of gloves with dexterity I leveled up faster attacks. Because I've leveled up faster attacks, I'm now stuck with these, because if you look, I have 1-1-2 dex, right? And this uses 1-1-1 dex. So I need to find a pair of gloves effectively with 52 dexterity, 116 life, like I don't need this much cold res, maybe 20 odd cold res, and then ideally another resistance on top. So instead of having life regen, you'd have another resist. I'm probably going to have to try craft my own. The reason for that is because these gloves only have one resist. This means that my resists aren't actually that great. I used to have like 160 res to all, but my damage was a lot lower, and I figured I'm already very tanky, so I got rid of, like I say, some of the amulets that had resists on that we saw I crafted on YouTube, and I went for a more damage based amulet, which meant I had to get the life and stuff on my gloves and the dex. So if I was to get lightning resist on these, that would mean I don't need lightning resist on this belt, which would mean I probably could buy one with max life, as in an Elder roll increased max life, or percentage increased stats for strength, or something like that. So this belt is pretty ridiculous, but it's not really that good for my build. I mean, it's very good for my build, but it's a waste, if that makes sense. So what happened was, I was chaos spamming Elder belts pretty much all league. I've wasted so much chaos spamming on Elder belts. Effectively, you get an Elder belt like this, eye level 80 plus, I think. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to spam for life recovery rate, because that increases all your recovery rate. You're trying to get a high amount of life as well, and obviously resists, and then maybe even max life, or something along those lines, right? So that's what you try to do. So what happens is I ended up having, if we look, I had tier 2 ES, which isn't bad if there's like some hybrid build. I had 2 reses, and I had the life recovery rate. I couldn't not keep it. All the others were similar rolls, were so expensive, so I crafted life on it. And then a couple of days ago, chat was like, you should exalt it, there's an open slot, you might get max life. I felt like like when I exalted this belt, this is when I went in to upgrade my character fully, because I was like, if I'm going to exalt the belt, that means I want to improve the character, which means I should buy the 21 gems, etc. So I exalted 40 wed onto it, or elemental damage with attack skills, which obviously is fucking sick. Like, this belt is probably... I don't even know what it's worth. I'm not saying it's worth, like, staggering amounts, but I basically... It's entirely crafted by myself. I don't even know the price. If I was to look it up, let's say 70 life to be conservative. We won't look at the ES. We'll do low resists. And we'll just do the life recovery rate at 16. There isn't even one up. So if we were to just look at the life, say minimum 90, WED 36, and then the 2 reses, if we were to look up this, there's none up. Now if we were to look that isn't an Elder base, 50C, 100 Chaos, and Exile. So it's like an Exile without life recovery rate, without ES, and all the rolls I put in a bottom rolls. So it's probably like 5x or something. Maybe, I don't know. It's hard to tell. But I was really pleased with it. Next are my boots. Crafted these myself and enchanted them myself. So the message I guess I'm trying to get across is, honestly, I've got all my currency sat here and I'm not really using it. I am progressing the character by myself, and that's what's making me enjoy the league. So I went out and I bought a pair of eye level 86 Titan Greaves, and I chaos spammed these fuckers until I hit something useful. What I hit was 99 life, 35 cold, 29 fire, 35 move speed, and I crafted on the lightning res. Now ideally, if I go shopping on the PoE trade, I find a pair of boots probably with a little bit less move speed, a little bit less fire, more lightning, you know, something like that allows me to upgrade the gloves a bit easier, the belt, etc. But that's kind of where we are with the gear. The flasks, the reason we use a basalt flask is it reflects 20% of their fizz damage back to the attacker. So when you're tanking elder slaps, that increases your damage. Witchfire Brew gives you the damage over time aura. Sulfur Flask gives you 40% increased damage. Ruby Flask, effectively what this does is when you press it, your fire resist goes up to 90, which in turn increases your life regen from 1.7 to a little bit more, right? When you're actually taking damage and stuff like that. And it's got remove curses, which is really important. So the actual passive tree and the stuff behind the build. Oh yeah, also just to mention, I've been doing the jewels myself, meaning I'm leveling up things like Righteous Fire, valing them on the temple, leveling up focuses and valing them. You can see here, these are all tendrils that I bricked when I leveled those up. Scorching Rays that hit 19 and 20. So I'm trying to reduce the cost by doing a lot of it myself and not just going out and buying all the 21 gems, but at least having a shot at it on my own. And that's what you should do. You should always be leveling up a set of gems whilst you're playing, because why not? You just stick them in. I don't know, I just got some blue daggers and just leveled up 6 gems. So whilst I'm playing, like, for example, let's say I don't val this. This is currently worth like 50C, right? So if you had 6 of these, that's 300 chaos straight off the bat. That's like 3 exalts just for playing the game. So, you know, there's ways to make currency. Oh yeah, in my boots, Fortify, Shield Charge, Enduring Cry, and faster attacks. In my gloves, Purity of Fire, Vitality, Purity of Ice, and the Enlighten. So in the actual passive tree, I've finally hit 95, and I haven't hit level 95 in a long ass time on a build. So you can tell I'm, for one, enjoying it, and 2, I'm not dying. The reason I'm getting so much XP, I know 95 isn't very high for a lot of people, but it is for me. The reason I'm getting so much XP is I'm farming Uber Elder, which means I'm just farming 15s, 16s, and I'm not dying. I'm not dying on Guardians, I'm not dying when I kill Uber Elder. Maybe I get one death occasionally. But overall, I'm really not dying, so I'm just leveling via playing the game, which feels nice. Honestly, it does feel nice to see your XP bar constantly moving. For getting level 95, I effectively last night got this cluster. So I could exalt that jewel and pray for damage over time if I'm brave. I've already exalted 2 jewels, which I've never done before. So that shows how much I'm enjoying the character and how much I'm like willing to put into the character, because I'd never exalt a jewel ever. I've never done it. So effectively what's going on is this. You are unbreakable, you're getting life regen, less damage taken, etc. Unflinching, when you get hit, you get an endurance charge or a chance to gain up to your maximum endurance charge. And obviously endurance charges give resists and stuff. And regen. And tankiness, fizz reduction, all that good stuff. This one, more fizz reduction per endurance charge, chaos res per endurance charge is nice. Now what I do when I kill Uber Elder is I spec out of Unyielding and I lose like 45% damage and I take Unstoppable, because it just means when he does the suck, when he does the moves in the Uber Elder, you don't get slowed and it's much nicer. So each time you want to kill Uber Elder, you just regret these points. I do all the Guardians with Unyielding, but when it comes to Uber Elder, I use Unstoppable. The tree is literally like, here we go. It's just like GGZII's tree. I'm not making a unique build at all. I'm not saying I'm doing anything like that. I'm just explaining what I'm doing, my gearing out if I'm enjoying it. I have a Might of the Meek. This converts sort of, well, it doesn't convert, sorry, it gives a bit more effectiveness to these nodes, everything inside these nodes. Life Wheel, and you're getting like burning damage on all your jewels. You want like damage over time, max life, and a res. Now ideally I could probably take this jewel out, but it gives me 4 lightning res. So if I could find 4 lightning res somewhere, I could get 20% increased burning damage. So there's still improvements to be made, honestly. The jewels again, damage over time, max life, burning damage. I exalted trap damage on this. This one, I exalted fizz damage with bows on it. This one, I exalted fizz damage with 2-handed melee weapons. So these are all painful. So that's why I'm kind of tempted to not do this one. This one is just, I bolt this one, max life, burning damage, damage over time, and stuff like that. You just get in life, fire damage, regen, you know, regen here, endurance charges. Now the big piece I guess to show is the Watcher's Eye. This Watcher's Eye, I bought, now this is going to probably tilt a few people, I bought it for 20 chaos, right? Because one of the ways I made my currency was I had a search up for Watcher's Eyes, a variety of Watcher's Eyes. Now this guy obviously priced it based on immune to freeze whilst affected by purity of ice. And at the time, these jewels with vitality were going for about 1 to 2 exalts. So he probably thought vitality is useless, someone will buy this, and I bought it. And what I did was I sold it after I'd played with it, so I divined it about 4 times to get... I actually divined it about 6 times to get 30% life recovery, and I sold it for 6 exalts about 2 weeks later. And then I rebought some Watcher's Eyes, and I just bought and sold some Watcher's Eyes for profit. And that's what I did. Because let's say someone has one up for 5 exalts. 5 exalts for somebody to spend on a jewel is a lot of currency. So some people that go in and kill Elder and get a vitality drop want a quick 4 exalts. Because they're like, I want to get my build going now. And sometimes they sell them for 4 and then you can sell them for 5 or just use them. So that's what I did. Because, yeah, that's the way it worked. So until I was 95, I didn't have this node. and I was taking these elemental damage nodes at 94, no, 92. Sorry, no, it would be 93, 94. And then when I got level 95, I took them out and went for this node. If you kept leveling up, you could get life, hell, you could get, you know, armor. You could get all kinds of shit, you know, regen, more life, duration on your endurance charge or something. You could get all kinds of juicy stuff if you kept leveling up. But 95 is probably going to be my limit, really. Maybe my next node is like, I don't know, life regen or something, or 10 life. I don't know. I don't think I'm going to level up that much more. So that's that, really. Maybe I'd get like a dex node or something to help me gear up my character. 30 dexterity actually would be great for my character. That would alleviate a lot of pressure on the gear, so to speak, you know? So there's that, for instance. Because I guess you've got to look at it in this sense. I could get rid of this jewel and lose max life and some damage, but I could gain dex, which would let me get max life on my belt. More life, maybe more life on boots or something, you know, there's different things. I don't know how to use path of building, really, so you can do the numbers. I'm sure someone will figure out what's best. So yeah, a dex node might be looking pretty good for me next. So the tree, well, you can just look at my profile. It's GGZII. It's GGZII. I'll put it in the description. But if you want to look at my profile to like help you out or just ask me any questions, just hit profile, GGZII, characters, and it's more builds than Exalt's dropped, because I've only had one Exalt drop this league, which happened last night. And that's my character. So yeah. Alright, hopefully you enjoyed that. I just thought I'd chat for a little bit about Righteous Fire. I'm really enjoying Incursion League. Really enjoying Incursion League. That's all there is to say. Each time I sign in, I'm interested to play it, and it hasn't been like that for a long time. So well done, GGG. Good league.